Oh my goodness, I'm so happy to be recording again. I haven't done it in a while.
Really? How long has it been?
I had a guest on maybe like a month ago now.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a season where like I loved recording by myself, and I would just like sit in the corner and just like talk and yap and chat. And I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't feel like talking to myself. Like, it was so fun for a time, and I'm just like, I'd rather talk to someone else.
Oh.
Yeah. And
we all need it every now and then.
We all need it. And you're that person today.
Honored to be here.
Just for editing purposes,
Sure.
like, it doesn't have to be super close.
Oh, okay.
Like, yes, but not super far.
Okay.
It's like mid.
Cool. I'm a singer, so I'm used to
holding
the mic like
oh,
up in
yeah.
here. Ooh. I'm also loud by nature too, so I'm like,
I've had some guests that are just loud in nature too. So, but it always works out. But I just wanted to
figure it out.
Oh yeah,
pull back.
Yeah. Welcome back to Settle Down for What. I'm your host, G. Before you do anything, like, comment, subscribe.
You have a job to do.
You have a job to do. And I always forget to tell you. And here I am. Just do it. Do it.
This is your task.
Do it on Shia LaBeouf style. Do it. Like, please. Okay? Share. Like, you know, it's a cool little thing we got going here. So, appreciate it. Today, I have a guest. Her name is Sabrina. Sabrina Mae. May I?
C'est moi.
May I? Actress, singer, dancer?
Yeah.
Whoa. And more.
The New York trifecta.
Literally. And more. And you just moved to New York 4 years ago?
3 years ago. Yes. I had my third anniversary last week.
You told me that.
It was on the
cool.
6th. Yeah, thank you.
It's so crazy. Like, even though like I moved to New York, it feels crazier that you did that. I don't know.
It's like it's a
well, I was only one state over. You were like
all the way across.
Yeah.
I'm originally from California, Central California, and I'm very proud to have been there. It was a journey.
Yeah.
It involved my mom, my brother, and I flying from LAX to, I think it was like LaGuardia we came out of.
Makes sense, yeah.
And we each, between the three of us, we carted 8 suitcases of just my shit.
You stop that.
Yeah, so sorry. Just my stuff, and my brother was the brawn, my mom was the brain, and I was processing.
You were just there
in the airport. Just
dude, that's crazy.
It was kind of insane. And then I remember like we flew in, and then we were taking an Uber to our hotel in Times Square, because that's the first stop when you move to New York.
100%.
Hotel in Times Square. And I remember the dude was like unloading all of my suitcases out of my Uber, and he was like, "You moving?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually
yes." Wow.
And he was like, "Oh, welcome."
Stop it. Okay, so many questions.
Okay,
because we haven't I heard so. Okay, so let me preface.
Sure.
Me and Sabrina met because we were both working I don't even know what to call it, like a barista gig.
You know, we're vendors. We're coffee vendors.
Yeah.
So, and basically we put an espresso machine on a rolling cart, and then we take it places.
Yeah. So I do that part-time for my friend Justine, who owns Divine Coffee, who has been on my pod. And then she hooked me up with this other company. And then that's where I met Sabrina. Yeah. We were both working an event for a corporate.
That was quite literally last week.
Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is my life. I just meet people, and then I'm like, let me take your photos and come on my podcast.
And we've done 2 shoots.
Yes.
This is the same.
Yes. Yes. So we met, and then I heard you talking about, you were acting and and then I'm like, ooh, like, ding, like, I don't know, just someone I know I can connect with. And I said I was a photographer, and then you're like, oh my gosh. So we were kind of just like, let's do it.
Quite literally the same. She's like, oh, I do photos. And I went, ding.
Literally. And she's like, let's do something. I'm like, cool. Like, literally message me and we'll do it. And we literally did probably like 3 days later. And it was amazing. We did a photo shoot in Central Park, and it was just incredible. Maybe I can link it somewhere. I don't know how to do all the fancy stuff, but
all over the Instagrams, all over the TikToks, and the
I'll make sure to link that stuff.
The fun little socials.
Yeah, exactly. Social media. So yeah, that was amazing. And then we just been like in touch since then, and I was like, come on my podcast.
I'm like,
think, pretty much.
Oh, you want me to yap?
Yap.
Hell yes.
Dude, if I could get paid to do this, oh my gosh.
Man.
What a life.
That would have eliminated a lot of my problems. I won't even lie.
What a life, bro. Insane. So yeah, and then since she was like coming to Brooklyn, I was like, do you want any more photos while you're here? And she did want some.
We did portraits.
Yeah, some portraits.
Yeah.
So I just basically set up a studio where we are sitting right here. And then
on that wall.
Yeah. And then we turned it into a podcasting.
It's like the wildest thing living in New York City, going to like multiple people's apartments and just, especially with artists too, because you see a lot of how somebody lives their life based on how they set up their apartment, because it is an all-in-one. Yes. Like, we can't afford studio space.
Are you
like,
kidding?
Jesus, I can barely afford to live here.
Truly.
Like, and then
truly.
Doing everything freelance too.
Truly.
So it's like, and I was mentioning this earlier, when I was back home during the pandemic, I like moved back to my old childhood home, and I turned my entire bedroom into basically a functioning studio because like I spent all my time in my bedroom and like there's nowhere else to go. And then like we're all continuing to work somehow.
Yes,
so like I ended up buying ring lights and like sound equipment, light equipment, all of this stuff. And I used to do productions over Zoom, and I was up at the crack of dawn, like setting everything up, and then just like painting and like setting up lighting fixtures and everything. It was insane. But it's like you learn to make the most of the space that you have.
I think that's a skill. I think it's a skill we should all have, because obviously you never know what can happen, number one. And number two, it's like, if you can, why not? You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, if I could afford a studio, I would. But like, it's like, work with what you got. No,
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I am so used to that. I've been living in studios for a long time. Well, this isn't even a studio. This is actually a one bedroom. It's like my first one bedroom in a while. But usually I'm in studios that are like way smaller than this, and I'm just working with what I got.
You gotta be crafty. But
it's fun. Like, I feel like, I don't know, it's kind of the fun of it. And I like to say, like, who knows, in the future, you know, you can look back and be like, I can't believe I had to do that. And maybe, hopefully, you know, you have a better situation.
The ideal world, you get a 2-bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, am I going to move up next time? I don't know.
No, literally.
Oh my gosh. But dude, New York, New York's expensive, but
it hurts. It's painful.
Yeah, when you told me your freaking rent, I'm like, hey?
Yeah.
Because your place is nice.
I do have a nice place.
Yeah, I thought it, like, I didn't know what to expect, you know, because I'm like, okay, like, you know, single girl. I'm like, I wonder if she has like a studio, because I know that that's what I was doing when I was single and like living alone. But it was what, a 1-bedroom?
I have a 1-bedroom. Yeah. It's tricky. So I will to this day say I have never seen an apartment like my current one.
No,
I've been there for a few years.
I felt the same way. I was like, oh.
My friend, every single time I go to my apartment, like I bring people to my apartment, they're just like, there's a staircase?
The staircase was everything.
It is truly a trip. I swear to God, this is a 600 square foot apartment. It is 2 floors, but my first floor is like the ground, and then I have a basement. And it's a very narrow apartment. Yeah. Yes. But it's very narrow, I have really tall ceilings. Yes. I think it's because my building's been renovated a few times. Okay. What they did forget in the renovations was ventilation. Oh gosh. like cooking, or even
the most important part. New York is hilarious.
It's hysterical. Honestly. And it's a pre-war building too, so it's like easy to forget. Of course. We were thinking about things like that. I don't know. I wasn't here then. Anyways. I have a fun wrought iron spiral staircase. Yes. It's very cute. My top floor is like my bedroom, my bathroom, and my kitchen, and that's it. And then below, I have like space for a living room, and I have what I call my studio space. So I film on my self-tapes there, and I have like, it's, you know, I don't know who decided to paint white over brick.
That's what I thought when I saw your story the other day when you were doing your self-tape. I was like, is that
it's brick? Yeah. And I think it's stupid personally, but it makes a nice blank wall with some texture.
Yes. I was like, it works for what you need it for.
But yeah. So I don't have to put anything up. I'm playing with getting like some like a strip light and then like backlighting in different colors based on.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, just for the tapes, you know.
I love that.
Yeah, I've already tried to do something like that, but the lights that I have aren't strong enough.
Okay.
So I'm gonna see if I can get some like actual like theatrical or like set lights. That I don't know what the term is for that, but just something a little bit stronger so that it actually does what I need it to do. You
know? Awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So you're freelance.
I'm freelance.
Full time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I was saying before, what I was trying to say was when we were working the event together the first time we met, I heard you talking to our other coworker, Andrea, but I wasn't like getting the whole conversation, but I heard something about like where you grew up and how you basically ended up getting like here and to where you are now. So I didn't really hear any of it. So I really am curious. I'm like, you know.
She's like, don't tell me the full story.
You know, you don't have to divulge anything you don't want to, but like, yeah, I'm just really curious. I think you said you're Mexican.
I'm Mexican, yes.
Is that just Mexican?
Okay, so I am Mexican and Navajo.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
I was like, because I've been to New Mexico.
Where?
I don't remember. That's crazy, right? I was on a mission trip when I was like 16. And we went to like a reservation.
The Navajo reservation, probably.
Yeah.
Is it up north and to the west? Do you know? Okay.
I don't remember. It was just like, I was just like, sign me up. And I just went, you know? And we worked with like little kids and I mean, it was beautiful.
It is a gorgeous state.
Yeah.
I won't even lie. So my mom is from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Okay.
And my dad is from Juarez, Mexico. So that is on the border between of El Paso. If you don't know where El Paso is, it's on the Rio Grande.
Okay, I've heard of it, but I don't really.
It's one big city, and they on the U.S. side, it's El Paso.
Yeah,
and on the other side, it's Juarez, and that's where my dad's from.
Got it.
So, and it's funny because like geographically, that's like right below each other. But then they met in Fresno, California, which is where I'm from, because they go to the university there. Okay. So, I just think that's hysterical personally. But a lot of my family are on both sides of the border in El Paso, Juarez. And my mom's side is from Albuquerque. And on my mom's side, I don't know the full history behind it. But I think we've been there since the border crossed us. Wow. My grandmother was Spanish. And she was very, very fair-skinned. And my grandfather was Mexican Navajo. He was about my complexion. Okay. And he worked for the Santa Fe Railroad. Wow. And they had like the falling in love story. And like this is back in the 40s. Yeah. And they he built her a house. Okay. He built her a house while she's popping out kids.
Well then, hey, as he should.
Look, you know, he said, "I'm gonna do it by two," and he was like that kind of. He was that kind of guy
I
too.
I feel like most men back then were probably like that.
He was like, "I'm not gonna buy. I'm gonna make one for you." And that house is still like up. It's in the south side of Albuquerque, so it's very, very rural over there.
That's so cool.
But I grew up in I also grew up in Central California. It's very cowboy country over there, and it's also very agro. I love living in New York City. The food in California is unmatched, and I'm so sorry.
Oh, I heard you talking about that. I think with Andrea,
it is the full truth. Yeah, and it's cheaper for sure. The food is cheaper in California.
Interesting.
Not by a lot, but it's still cheaper. Okay. But the Mexican food in California is just
when I heard you talking about it, I'm like, damn, I want to go. Well, I've been to San Diego.
San Diego's gorgeous. Yeah.
I've been to like Huntington Beach.
I had a midnight swim on Huntington Beach.
Aww.
It's so pretty over there.
Yeah, me and my brothers. It's a crazy story actually. My youngest brother bought a van with his friends. They lived in Florida at the time, and they're like, let's road trip to California.
Slay. Love it.
So me and my other brother, we lived at home still in Jersey. And we're like, all right, once they get to California, we'll like buy a ticket to meet them and just live out of the van with them. Yeah. Like we weren't going to get a place. We were literally just going to live out of the van. And literally like they started their trip, and like once they got to like Michigan, their van just completely broke down.
No.
Yes. So then me and my other brother are like, are they still going to go to California? Because we have our tickets. Like, what is going to happen? Anyway, like all these crazy stories. Like my youngest brother is like such an adventurer, and he's like similar to me. Like just meets people, talks to people, ends up getting like whatever, hooked up and doing random shit. Like,
good for him.
It's really cool. So anyway, so he ended up like finding someone to stay with, selling the van for like a certain amount of money, and buying tickets to California. Mm-hmm. So they just ended up taking a plane to California. So we still met them.
I made it to Michigan.
But we had no idea we were going to stay still because the van was going to be where we were staying. Oh. So we didn't have the van anymore. So we like rented a car and we're just like, all right, let's just
living in the car.
What happens. And we just ended up meeting like a bunch of people who were just like, yeah, come stay with us. It was crazy.
Oh my God.
It was one of the coolest things I've ever done in my entire life.
That's insane. It was insane. I love it though.
It was so cool. And we were like, I don't know fully where you stand on like spirituality and like religion and faith and stuff, and I want to get into that with you.
Let's.
But we were very prayerful like about our trip and like just praying together and like for safety and just meeting people and like the right connections and like God came through. Like that's all I can say because it is like when I look back on it, I'm like that is dangerous. Like it can't.
Oh my God!
Like,
yeah.
Our mom was so upset. She's like, "You're staying with a random woman. Oh my gosh, who is this? What if she kills you?" And we're just like, "We're gonna be fine."
Like we'll figure it out.
The coolest lady ever. Like we still follow each other on Instagram to this day. Just like a super cool older woman interior designer, and she was just like, "I overheard you guys talking that you needed somewhere to stay. If you want to stay with me, you can." And we're like, okay. So like that was a couple days, and then we met up with like we had heard about this like surfers group. We met up with a bunch of people, and then we met people through there, and then they let us stay with them. And it was just like this like kind of thing that we just did while we were there. It was like the coolest thing, again, that I've ever done.
I wish I had the scrap to figure out things like that.
I think if I was alone, like 100% no. But my brother, like my youngest brother,
it's good that you had like dudes with you.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I would never do that by myself.
I've thought about it, but I'm also just like I don't. There's pros and cons to that kind of thing. Yeah. But for me personally, I don't think I'd be totally comfortable doing that. But I would do it if I had one person with me. Yeah. Oh yeah. Figuring it out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But
yes,
and that's like another thing about being freelance. I always say, back to the, I always say that like I have a phrase I've been using in my head. Mama will provide. Okay. So a musical theater girly, and if you know, you know. But it's a reference. It's a reference. Like, you're just like I don't get it. No, so it's a reference to a musical called Once on This Island, and there's a song where it's basically The Little Mermaid, okay, but it takes place in Haiti. Okay. And our main essential heroine, her name is Timoon. She's going across the island to where the rich people live to find people to take care of this dude. It's all part of the plot. Okay. But it's basically Ariel coming on to this shore, and there's these 4 gods, and the goddess of the earth, I can't remember what her name is, but she sings a song called Mama Will Provide, and she's basically like narrating to the main character that she's going to make sure she's okay on her journey. Yeah. And I just say like Mama will provide. Like when I'm like I have no gigs, I have nothing coming up this week, and like I've been freelance for a couple months now, and I get nervous like, okay, I don't have anything coming up, but like I have time for this, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm starting to freak out. I'm like, Mama will provide. Yes. Mama will provide. Don't even concern yourself.
It's so real. I feel the same way. And it's so crazy because as of like 2 days ago, I was like looking at my calendar and I'm like, for the next 2 weeks, I have no work on the calendar. Like that's kind of scary. And then like Nikki texted me. She's like, hey, can you do this day, this day, this day? I'm like, absolutely. Like, and it just... Yeah. It's been just working out, which confirms that like going full time for me, like freelance photography and just all these little ventures I've been doing is like what I was supposed to do. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You just have to be, I remember when I put in my 2 weeks at my old cafe job, I was like, it was one of those things where up until I was waiting, I was trying to be deliberate and trying to be very intentional. Of course. But, and I'm not nowhere near a financial place where I could do it and have a safety net. Absolutely. I was just doing it and I just jumped. I actually spoke with a tarot reader about this because I was freaking out a little bit. And basically what I did was the equivalent of like, look over the cliff and then just jump. Yes. So like I knew what I was getting into, but I still jumped. And I remember thinking like in my head, it was like a beating drum, just being like, do it, do it, do it. Just put in the 2 weeks, just do it. And like, and you'll, when you have the pressure, you'll figure it out. And then I jumped, and the panic that set over my body for the next 5 days. So side note, I wear an Aura ring. I love it.
Tell me about that.
My stress levels were all the way at the top. If you have an Aura ring and you have the app, like use it. Really the stress goes all the way to the top for like a solid 4 days. And then of course, like I like relaxed into it, and like I got my shit together a little bit more. But I think it's worth it personally. But
I was gonna say, it's an investment. I looked into it. I was like, oh, I can't be getting that right now, but one day.
Still paying it off, but I think for me, I'm really bad with like making sure I'm getting enough sleep and making sure that like watching my stress. For sure. Yeah, it was very, and then it'll help tell when you're getting sick, which is like part of the problem is. Yeah, because like it tracks like your temperature that is related to your period, but it does tell you because it helps track your period and it helps. It's very great.
Someone buy me one. Someone buy me an Aura ring.
Give my girl Gina $600 so that she can buy an Aura ring.
I'll link my Venmo.
Link my
Damn
Cash
it!
App.
I remember because one of my friends, Kayla, she has one, and I was like, oh, if she, like, I don't know her financial situation, but I was just like, oh, if she has one, I can probably get one. I like Googled it, and I was like, how'd she get this? I'm like, wait, what? No.
Affirm.
No. Oh, Affirm. Yeah. I'm like weird with like,
oh, God.
I'd rather just like pay it off if I can, of course, like, and not have it hanging over my head because I already have like so much debt, and it's just like,
God
damn, one day.
Affirm and I, we have an agreement. We have an agreement.
Oh my gosh, that's so bad. But
and
hey.
I've made my choices, and I have made my bed. Exactly. I am currently lying in it,
and that's all. Honestly, that's all that like matters. It's like if I'm doing it, and that's it. Like whatever.
The job got done. That's all that matters. Yeah. I'm still paying it off. Yeah. My payments are on time, and
so crazy.
I don't regret getting the Aura ring whatsoever. Yeah. Other purchases, on the other hand. Right. I don't even remember like some of the payments that I have on. I don't even remember what they're for, and I've tried to like look it up and just be like, "What was this?" But I'm like, I made like some payments this morning, and I'm just like, I'm sure that I'm benefiting from whatever the hell I bought from like last year or something. Hilarious. I'm sure that I'm benefiting from it. I don't know what.
That's so funny.
It's mostly like household decorations and stuff that I've used Affirm for, which like. I'm obviously benefiting, not at the moment, but like.
So wait, is there no interest with Affirm?
No, there is. It's very high.
The freaking.
It's very high. Yeah.
So
it's like 16%.
I mean, it's lower than my credit cards. I hate everything. I don't want to talk about any of that. Okay.
Fair enough.
Anyway. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Okay, so yes. 2 freelance girls.
So yes, so I was my stress levels when I quit my job were super, super, super high. Okay. And once that kind of kicked me into gear to making sure that I had my stuff laid out. Yeah. My 2-week period, I probably worked maybe 60 hours that week, those 2 weeks. Whoa. So my body was already tired. And that's like another thing, like I couldn't have like a schedule set out for me for 2 weeks in advance because I just always have stuff going on. So that was like, and these are ultimately reasons why I needed to quit my job anyways, because I'd always be so tired. I wasn't getting enough sleep. And thankfully in the last couple of weeks, like I've been able to get enough work to sustain myself. And I'm working as an actor, I'm working as a model, and I'm I'm doing so much. And so many things fell into place for me the second that I quit my job. So I'm very happy with my decision. I'm still very like, you just have to take things case by case, honestly. Yeah. And I'm projecting out into like, okay, so it's October, so the holidays are coming up, so catering and like doing like short-term contracts are going to be very, very high in demand. Yes. However, when January comes, all of that's going to fall flat. So, okay, what are we going to do in January and February? So
We got each other.
We know there's a community. We have a community. And that's the great part about
that's something I want to touch on.
Sure.
I've met a couple, like, people similar to us. Like, I don't know what to call them. I guess freelancers. I never knew what word to use, but even the last episode of my podcast was with Ray Simone, and she's a singer. She just does like gigs, like just music gigs, and like she quit her job and same thing. And I'm just like, it's so nice to connect with people like that, you know. Like most of my friends, you know, don't like fully understand that. Some of them, and like some of them are business owners, and some of them get it, and but it's just cool to like meet like fresh new faces and like you know, just be like, oh, in the city living. And yeah, I have like a hate-love relationship with the city. Well, as you know, like where I live is not like, it's not like
very suburban.
Yeah, like what are your thoughts? Yes.
I love this area.
It's cute.
Honestly, it's really nice. The commute,
it's
well, from like Midtown. I'm thinking like, I'm not even saying like for me, no. From Midtown, it is a commute.
It's rough.
And
I didn't realize that when I moved here.
We work a lot in Midtown, especially doing events and corporate events.
Ever since I started with a net show, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be in the city a lot.
Yeah.
But I was also saying to a friend recently that it's like, it's actually nice, like getting that experience of like working in Manhattan from here. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, but not like a 9 to 5 every day type of thing. Because I could never do that.
I spend so much when people are like, I'm like, oh yeah, I worked a Fashion Week event. We're doing what? It was Olaplex, and I just like spin it like that because I'm like, you don't even know what I was doing.
Well, that's the funny thing too. Like, ever since I've been like getting more barista gigs, I'm like, what do I say that I do? And then also like I'm going to the Gap, like next week. I'm like, that's cool.
Okay, yeah.
But like, it's just I made coffee for like the Gap people.
I worked ad week all week this week.
What is that?
How many times did I say week just now?
I'm done. I didn't even know this.
So it's basically like, and honestly,
it sounds familiar.
I don't know, but like, even know. I know that there were a lot of like social media companies and like.
Is it fashion? No.
It was just all marketing, advertising.
Oh, okay.
And
ad, yeah.
And there were a lot of like vendors like giving away free shit and like that kind of thing, and like. I just distributed food. I like managed stations for them. Yeah. And that was my job.
Yeah.
But it was really great to work somewhere like that because you meet a lot of people like us that are doing different things.
Yes.
So it's really easy to network, and it's very, because the thing is like the successful artists here in the city are the ones that are freelance.
Yeah.
So, and the ones that make their own schedules.
Right.
So you meet other people and you're like, how do you do to get where you are? Right. And then they go, and if the answer is, that means you know they're doing something right.
And then you're like, okay, good. I'm not like that far off.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not far away. Yeah. I'm not far away. Yeah, quitting the cafe job was just like my ideal situation.
Yeah, I remember when I quit. I was working, well, because I moved from Jersey to here, so I was working in Jersey still while I was living here, and I was a teacher assistant. For like autistic children at a school. Yeah, and like
I have a cousin that does that.
It's a job. Oh my goodness, it is rough, hard. Yeah, hard. But like when I think of my students, like I cry. Like I adore their entire like being and souls. Yeah. Like they're my little babies. But really hard. Yeah, really, really hard. That was the first time I ever had worked like in a school like that, and I was like, yeah, this is not it. Like, and then like felt guilty kind of because it wasn't, because of, you know, obviously because of the population I was working with. So I was like, is this bad that I don't want to do this? But I'm like, you know what? You know, I did what I could, and there are people there that have been working there for a long time that are like, this is what they want to do. And I'm like, then I'll leave that to you. And like, you know.
My thing is like, your way is photography.
Yeah.
So I find that living different lives is like the best thing, because
1,000%.
like you were in your teaching era.
Yes.
Now you're in your barista photographer era.
Yes.
And it's like, I've had a few of those myself. Yes. I mean, I've been in a restaurant since the dawn of time. But I have like there's different eras that you've been through, and there's different things that you've done, 100%. And it's just like it makes for a fuller life, in my opinion.
Totally agree. I think I talk about this a good amount because through my life I've always had different jobs, and I don't know, but like I think I thought of it as a negative thing for a long time, and like kind of a thing to be like ashamed of, because I'm like, why can't I make up my mind? Like, why can't I just do one thing? And then I just realized I just don't like doing one thing. And now I'm okay with it. Mm-hmm. I actually love that about myself. Because like you said, for me, it does make a fuller life. It makes, I just feel like for me, that's what I need, honestly. Because I love meeting new people. And I love like stuff like that, like just meeting you and doing this now. And now we're here. And it's like, what? Like the endless possibilities are like what like drives me, I think, in life. And like anytime I feel like I'm maybe going to be stuck somewhere, I start to panic kind of. Yeah. If that makes sense. So like at the school, I was like, no, gotta get out of here.
I get it.
Like I've been in an office job and I was like, gotta get out of here. Like,
oh, I don't have the heart. I don't have it. Oh my gosh. I've thought about it. I've genuinely thought about it. I've applied for office jobs. Do you know how
many I've applied for ever since I moved to New York? Tried to get a job in like Manhattan and it didn't work out. And I'm like, God, because he knows that's not what I want to do. He knows that I would never be happy doing that, but I'm like, gotta do it. It's just what you do. You know, I don't know. I'll make money, and you get like in panic mode or whatever. And I'm like, so glad none of that ever worked out.
You know, we were literally at Bloomberg. Yes, like a couple weeks ago.
I think I'm going back.
I'm going back with my other company next.
I was like, are we working the same event?
No. But we were listening. Like they're doing a conference about like AI, climate changes. Oh my God. You know, we're standing behind this cart and we can hear it because they're projecting the audio into the lobby. You see the screens
of the people speaking in the conference room.
And I just remember telling you and Andrea, I'm so happy with my life choices because I'd have to be there and pay attention.
Once you said that, I was like, this is my kind of girl. I am not kidding. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna be.
See, like the benefit for me in this though is that like I get to people watch and like I don't.
One of my favorite things.
I don't play office types, but it's asked for a lot. So like people will be like, oh, commercial, like pretend you work in HR or something. Oh. And so I people watch when I'm doing this, and I'm watching behaviors like depending on what industry we're looking at. Like what are people wearing? How are people acting? What are how much is like social media influence or whatever? Yeah. Like I'm just thinking about these kinds of things when I'm at these events. And when I'm just at these, I'm like, what I'm doing outside of my actual job is paying attention to these people.
That's crazy.
But these people, their job is to actually sit and listen, and I don't have the heart.
Ooh, like I
don't have it.
Just get the cringes all through my body.
I'm like, this is even like
absolutely not.
I apologies to anybody who
do
this.
I know, and I do try to be sensitive, and it's like, but listen, there are people who do it and they love it.
Yeah.
And I am so supportive of those people. Mm-hmm. Where I get like weird is when like people do it because they feel like they have to, and they just complain about it and don't like it. And then I'm like, well, then maybe something's there. Like maybe that's not what you should be doing.
My thing too is that like we do so many of these events, and you see just seeing all these different types of people. One thing that is a constant is that how these people treat your staff.
Yes.
And
what is your thoughts on that?
Here's the thing. I was thinking about this morning, and one thing is I feel like everyone is trying to get to a point where they feel like they have a definition of success, no matter what it is.
Sure.
And to some people, that definition of success is I get to treat people a certain way because that's how people treated me, which is not true. The thing is your staff and the people that are tray passing to you that have the little hors d'oeuvres, or the people that are serving you coffee at a random cart that just happens to be there and it's for free
and you don't have to pay for
these people that are serving you and you don't have to pay for it. These people are the backbone and are in the shadows of everything that you consume. Because I was working with a girl last week, and she is like literally like the lead in a band. Like, and I met a girl yesterday, and she's been on Broadway a couple times. And it's these people that are tray passing to you. We're doing this so that we can live, so that we can entertain you.
Yeah, literally.
At the end of the day. So and we remember faces. Yeah. We remember. And at one point, like, maybe you're watching a Netflix show, maybe you're listening to a podcast, maybe you're doing something, and the person that's on there served you food and you were disrespectful to them. And, like, obviously, like, this is going to resonate with whoever it does. But just remember that, like, the people that are serving you, we're not there to do that. Yeah. Our existence isn't to do this. Right. Our existence is to do something else. Right. And this is freelance.
Yes.
Confirmation.
Oh, the noises of New York.
I love it. I love it. I love New York City. I was on the D this earlier, and I was like, I was crossing the bridge, and I was just like, I took a little video, put it on my Instagram, and I'm just like, I love this city.
I was like, like one of my favorite things is like when someone comes over for a pod and I see their story and they're like on the train. I'm like, they're coming to me. And I also feel like I gave them like, not like I gave you, but I mean like you have an opportunity now to like see that. Like that's the kind of stuff that I think about on a daily basis. I'm like, oh my gosh, like if you didn't do this, like you wouldn't have seen that exact.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
and,
I think there's so much.
My thing is New York City. I am so in love with New York City. Yeah. I used to live in LA, and I hated every second. I went to college in LA, and I really, really loved my college experience. But then I entered the workforce in LA, and I just could not stand it. I was so bad.
The acting?
Acting, restaurant. I even drove Uber for a period of time.
Lord.
That was fun, actually.
Really?
I enjoyed it.
You get to meet a lot of people
and then like, also, like, if someone doesn't want to talk, I am listening. Again, another thing about servers, we're listening.
Yeah.
We're listening to everything.
Yeah.
That should strike some fear in people.
I love listening to people. I love watching people. I love, like, my boyfriend thinks I'm, like, so weird and, like, nosy. And I'm like, you just think that because you're a New Yorker. Like, he was born here, so he just keeps to himself. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But we're people that, like, have come, like, we're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Standing there,
and you're like,
you're standing there, you're turning off your brain, doing whatever. And it's just like, yeah, if you're talking about, like, situations with your partner or your friends and roommate drama, what am I gonna do? Not listen? It's absolutely. Like it's like when people say that, like, if you're in a text fight on the subway and their phone's like right in front of you, I'm gonna read it.
Every last
I'm gonna read it.
Are you
Sue
kidding?
me. I'm guilty. I'm actually about to I'm actually gonna private screen my phone and my iPad because I was in Midtown yesterday and I had an hour between rehearsal and my event, and I got a new pair of Beats. That's a story in itself. The headphones, yeah. And I had to charge them, and the only place I could go to was a Kava. And there was a situation. I had to charge my Beats to use them, even though I just took them out of the box. Ugh. I hate that when that happens.
Dude, that's so annoying.
It's so annoying. But I plugged them into my iPad, and for me to watch TikToks while I'm eating dinner and turning off my brain, I had to watch TikToks on my iPad. And I'm just like, this is already weird. I think, personally, like, I'll do that in the privacy of my home.
Yeah.
Because, like, my For You page is
it's
For
You page. It's for you.
It's not for anybody else. And, like, I just need a private screen. I'm sorry.
No, I don't think.
And then plus, like, a little bit more niche. I use my iPad for my scores and my scripts and stuff. And, like, I write a lot of dumbass notes in there. There's a paragraph in my show. I'm in a production of The Baker's Wife. Again, MT people, if you know. And there's a lot of very interesting characters in there. Mm-hmm. And personally, I love the show. I love the music. There's just some characters in there that they brush me the wrong way. Okay. And there's a whole paragraph in there. The show's about, like, community and infidelity.
Okay.
And there's two couples in the show, and the husbands very vocally hate their wives. And it's a joke. Ha ha he he. Yeah. I don't resonate with that kind of thing. As someone in the trenches, I don't resonate with that kind of behavior. Either. And there's a whole paragraph by a character named Claude. And Claude just basically is talking about how the baker whose wife went off and had an affair, how he's actually lucky because then he'd have to live the rest of his life with this woman who he's clearly going to get bored with.
Oh gosh.
And even in my system right now, I'm just like, this is repulsive.
Yeah, 100%.
So I wrote in big purple letters in my script, eat shit. over the paragraph because so eat shit. That's horrible. And like this show has been through this. It was originally in a movie called like La Femme Boulanger or something like that from the 30s, and then it's been like rewritten over the course of 90 years, and they're like, oh, we're gonna make this character less interesting, more interesting. Yeah, but you're gonna keep the fucking misogyny.
Right. I'm like, why would they keep
I don't like that
after rewriting it?
I don't like that. Strange. Yeah. So we're on that page and I had my script out and people were just like, you wrote that? I'm like, I need a privacy screen. Because like for sure. This, I'm like, don't look at my script. And it is an iPad, it is bright, so like it's there. Yeah, it's free reign, free game. And I'm just like, oh yeah, now I have to explain to my castmates why this character I think is repulsive.
Gosh. Yeah. I think you just want to keep that to yourself.
Yeah, it's my opinion.
That was for you.
It's my opinion.
That was your little.
Now it's your opinion too.
It's so
but
funny.
Yeah. So privacy screens.
Yes.
Where were we?
I don't know, but I think you should. I think that people in New York should definitely have them. You know, because I will be over someone's shoulder reading and seeing what you got going on. So just know, if you don't want that to happen, then
literally a couple months ago, I was having a moment on the subway, as we all do, because I was getting dumped. And I was getting dumped over text, and like we were trying to like find time to like have a FaceTime.
Oh my
And like this is happening. I'm like red in the face, tears on the way to an audition too.
Jeez.
And I was just like, you knew I had an audition today. You couldn't wait until 8 p.m. when I got home anyway. But I'm just like, I already know that like me like setting a time through text while I'm like fully like drenched and red in the face. I'm like, I already know that these people like are like reading my text. They know exactly what's going on. And it's like, yeah, it's easy to tell. We all live the same lives and it's my business. Totally. But at the same time, like no one bothered me. Like of course it's New York City. No one really gives a shit.
I was gonna say, like I think there's like it's funny because they think that like naturally in this era of like humanity, like we all think we're like the main character, and totally. I do. I'm not.
Me
like,
too.
And I am. Like it doesn't even matter.
It's my life. I'm the main character.
1000%.
What am I gonna do? Make someone else the main character in my life? My life.
And we do that probably with men and with whatever. But
I'm single.
No, yeah. So it's like sometimes we think that I think people are just like looking at us and this and that, and then sometimes I'm just like looking around, I'm like, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares about me. And I'm like, that actually makes me feel better. I'm like, now I can just let loose and like, I'll sing on the subway. I don't care.
Nice.
Yeah. Like not loud, but like I'll dance. Like I'm not going to just sit there. Like I feel like so many people are just like so.
I've definitely vocal warmed up on the subway, but like to myself, just
I'm not going to make a scene, but like, I'm just like, we're all in our own little worlds. Like, it's like almost like being at the gym. I feel like
the thing. Whenever I tell people, like, when people ask me about moving to New York, I always say, like, the absence of a car, especially if you live on Manhattan, is a huge difference because in the rest of the country, we live so much of our lives in our car, and that is our that's our between space.
Yes.
So, and it's like waiting for class, commuting.
You know, I've cried in my car just. Like, you know what I mean?
All the time. So, but we don't have that luxury here. That's so it's just like we're in our in between time.
That's such a good point.
We're like it's
that's
just
the time you have for yourself.
Yeah,
so it's like if I end up sitting there crying on the subway, that's what's happening.
I would have done it in my car.
Exactly.
If I had
and you do it in your car. I'd rather be alone, but this is like this is it. No, that's so true. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
New York, man.
I love her. I'm a huge history girl too.
You're like really smart. It's like it kind of freaks me out. I'm like, what is she talking about? No, I'm just kidding. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know what she meant by that.
I am so enamored with New York City and the city of New York. I love that for you. Sorry, the history of New York City.
I think that's so cool.
I just, I'm always thinking like, what happened here? Like what? Because like the city's really
okay.
Really
I get that
old.
To an extent. Yeah. I think I'm like more like curious about individual people instead of like history of like places, I guess.
I hear you.
But that is really cool. I always like am so like I admire people who are like into history and
girl. I listen to other.
Don't
podcasts.
tell me you're listening to historical podcasts. Are you?
Of course I am!
Oh my God!
No, literally before we started, when I was just like, ooh, Gilded Age and
I know, literally
that was a history podcast!
I was like, that's definitely some smart shit that she's talking about. I don't know what she's talking about.
I love it. I'm definitely like, I consider myself a history enthusiast, and it does come with the acting, so like.
That's true.
So that
makes sense.
And I've always loved it so much. And so cool. The thing about like New York City is that it's just been around for so goddamn long that so much has happened. You can there's multiple podcasts about the history of New York City because there's so much to cover.
Yeah.
But like when I was on the subway this morning, I was like looking and I saw the Brooklyn Bridge and I'm thinking about like the history of like how it opened and like the people that worked on it, the people where they came from back in like this Brooklyn Bridge was 1800s. But like it's like about all these people, what was happening in the world, and like see, I'm already sitting up.
I'm like slouching down.
I was listening to this podcast. It's called The Bowery Boys. Okay. Plug, I guess. But it's basically just like the bite-sized piece of New York history. And there was they're doing an episode on the 5 Points, and it's basically like New York City's most notorious slum back in like from the 1700s into the 1860s, I want to say, and just what happened there. And there's books and there's photography. There's a whole photo catalog on just like how people lived in this area. And it was around where the Brooklyn Bridge was, and like Lower Manhattan, the Nolita, Chinatown, Little Italy area. It's all connected, of course. But I was just like, I fell down a rabbit hole. This is like 3 weeks ago. I fell down a rabbit hole. I watched Gangs of New York twice in a row.
Wait, what of New York?
Gangs of New York, the movie by Martin Scorsese.
Oh, a movie.
It's a movie. Young Leo DiCaprio, Daniel Day-Lewis. I watched it twice in a row.
I'm not a huge movie person either, which I know
it's okay.
Like, it's you probably are.
And not really, honestly. Okay. I read a lot. Movies turn me into acting mode, and then that's work.
Movies turn me into like photography. Like I don't know, and then like similar to how you are with history. Like when you see the bridge or think about who made it. When I see a movie, I'm like, how did they get that there? And who did that? Wow, she had it.
Some movies
and I'm just
do that
like,
for me.
And I can't like just enjoy a movie. I'm always thinking about behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Always thinking about the acting and like how. Yeah, which is cool. Like I like thinking like that, but I'm like, it's not always enjoyable to watch something when you're like that.
And everyone's like, have you seen this? Have you seen that? I'm like, dude.
Yeah, like I'm
tired. I'm like, I don't need another thing to worry about right now. Because like for me, like watching movies, like of course it's enjoyable, and I have my favorite movies that are like my comfort movies, but like this is work. And I'm thinking, who's the casting director? Who's the director? Right. Oh, how did they do this? Oh, where did that person come from? How long have they been acting? Is this a reasonable movie for me to get into in the next couple months? I don't know. How long is my career gonna
that's resonate.
The snowball. So and I'm like, I'll just read a book.
I'm like, I'll just brain rot on like Instagram. That's my downfall.
That's that too. Jeez. But then that starts another spiral
about
social media, and I'm like, that's why I'm not a novel. I don't write a lot. Like I'll write stuff for me, and but like I'm like the books are the safest for me to just brain rot in.
That makes so much sense. I really want to be like a book girly so bad.
You know,
I just can't do it. My brain is just.
It's. It kind of like I could learn to meditate or something.
Yeah, I don't know what it like.
This is freelance.
I know, literally. I was gonna bring something up when you were talking about like just history and then Gangs of New York, the movie and everything. I get obsessed with like stories, like people's lives. And like murderers. And I know that's like, it seems so cliche because I feel like people are always like, oh, I'm going to get cozy and watch like a murder mystery. Like, you know, those reels and memes and like, I'm like, whatever. No, that's not me. I'm different just because I'm me. I'm not like that. I'm just like, I don't get cozy, honestly. It actually keeps me like, I'm so anxious watching stuff like that, but I can't like not like, I'm just so intrigued by like, I don't know what Gangs of New York is about, but like it reminded me of like there was a documentary called The Cocaine Cowboys, and it was like these guys who like basically ran like the most like successful like cocaine, what is that called, ring or whatever, I don't know, like
a drug ring or something.
And they were like from Miami. It was just like, and I love stuff like that. Like Monsters is out now about the Menendez brothers. Like Obsessed. They killed their parents when they were like 18 and 21. Yeah. Insane. And like it's this whole thing. So I am like obsessed with like people's stories, like in that sense.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
History stuff, I something will not click in my brain. I don't know why. But when it's like when I can get more personal, that's when it like clicks for me. And that's when I can like really be engaged and stuff like that. That's why I like doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm like this. Yes. I'm thinking like this checks out.
Exactly. Yes. I'm like I love it, and I love that I've met people who are so willing and just like, yeah, sure. Like,
oh yeah.
I'm like so shocked. I even said that with my last guest, Ray. I'm like, I just asked her. Like I barely even met the girl. She was singing at a venue that I went to go listen to music. She was the lead singer. And I met her at the end just saying like, you're amazing. Yeah. That was it. We followed each other on Instagram. And then I'm just gonna message her. She just seems really cool. Yeah. And I was like, do you want to be on my podcast? She's like, sure.
Hell yeah.
And that was it. And I'm just like, I love stuff like this. Like, and then I can talk and get to know you and like hear your story and hear things and like relate to things. And it's just like, that's where I feel so alive. I just love it. I know.
I love that.
I know. I'm like this, like really seriously, all the things I'm doing in my life right now, like give me life. And I haven't felt that in so long. Like I said, like I've had job after job and like trying to figure it out and like just like feeling horrible about myself. And then of course, like, you know, just family being on me about stuff and parents and like, you know, just over time having to create certain boundaries with certain people and family and this and that. And just finally being like, I need to live my life the way it's good for me. Yeah. And not the way anyone else thinks it's, you know.
I've always wanted to be my own boss too. I just really don't want to answer to people.
That's what it was the entire time, and I didn't like connect to that. So like, why am I having such an issue? And like, I just got to a point like recently, honestly, I was like, oh, I don't want to work for anyone. Yeah, like, and I'm not gonna probably ever again. Like,
honestly, like, it's such a tough call to make, I think, but it's just, you know, working for yourself is like the ultimate goal, and like 100%. in a way you really do have to literally construct your own reality from the ground up.
It's really hard. Like it is it's tough. It's like
it's insane. And like I wish I had answers and I wish I had wisdom on it, but I'm still
girl, no, I don't I just know that like, not that like life is all about feelings, right? Like feelings are fleeting and they're up and down, but like when you have that like inner knowing of like, no, this is right though. Even though maybe it feels chaotic and maybe it doesn't look right. Or maybe, you know, from the outside it's like, what is this girl doing or something?
I know mine's gonna shift a lot. And I honestly, it is a little bit uncomfortable. Cheers it is a little bit uncomfortable not knowing what my life is going to look like next month. It is. Even once my show closes. And you know, there's just a lot to be like, everyone
it's the unknown.
And it's like sometimes I feel like the concept of job security is always an illusion anyways.
Forget that. So that's what I was chasing for so long. And that's what my parents were telling me. And like, I just felt like as a society and like, you know, being my age and like older, and I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone around me is like doing this and that. And every time I tried to do that stuff, I just literally felt like so horrible.
I agree.
And I'm like,
I do get really jealous. And it's like, this is just like a natural part of like choosing a different path, I think, is that like there is a jealousy of like
definitely
going to places and doing things that like everyone else gets to do. Yeah. And like this even like speaks for like being single as well. Like there's a lot of things in life that I am automatically excluded from because I don't have a partner. Yeah. And same thing, I don't have an office job, therefore I'm automatically excluded from a lot of things. However, the career that I'm building for myself, I get to do this, and those people don't get to do that.
100%.
So it's always a double-edged sword for literally. I was literally talking about this with a friend a couple months ago, actually, and she was saying like, no matter what room you step in, you think you're solving your problems by doing this. You think you're solving your problems by getting an office job. You think you're solving your problems by quitting your job and going freelance.
Or by getting a partner, getting married, with someone.
Dating somebody new. You think you're eliminating these, but you're really just giving yourself a new set of problems.
100%.
So
100%.
No one has it easy out here,
No one.
truly. Yes. And I'm a full believer in that. Life is not meant to be easy.
No, I think once you realize that and accept it, life gets I don't want to say easier, but kind of in a sense, because
you just learn to coast.
You're leaning into it and you're not fighting against it. You're not using, you know what I mean? Like,
you have to learn to flow, and you have to 100%. Learn to keep your cool and adapt to your surroundings. And for me personally, like, I'm very good at adapting to my surroundings.
I'm pretty good at it too.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's so
and you're just
fun.
Like, all right, like what's the problem that I have to solve today? Literally. I guess. And like I said, shit ain't easy.
No, it's not. It's not. So, but like even like I texted you last week and I'm like, oh, like I'm working a gig in the city 2 days in a row. Like, can I sleep over?
Yeah.
Like, that's an adjustment. Like, that's just something that's like, here's a girl that like I connected with. Let me see if she'll say yes to this. Like, and just make things work. And like, you know what I mean? Like, being adaptable and
back to being crafty.
Yes. Yeah. Like, and you were so willing, and I didn't end up getting the job, but so I love that.
I was gonna say, like, I'll drop you off at my pub. I'll introduce you to my bartender while I go to rehearsal. And then I'll come back and we'll get a drink.
Literally. And I was so excited. I was actually pretty bummed when Nikki moved me to New Jersey event. I was like, dang it.
It's okay.
But we'll have more.
It'll be filled with opportunities. Yeah.
But yes, I think there's like a saying, I don't know who said it, but it's like, choose your heart. Like, I've seen that a lot.
Yeah.
And then there's I'm so mad that I can't figure out what it is, but Jerry Seinfeld said something on a interview with like Jimmy Fallon or something, and he was like, oh, shoot, hold on, let me see. Jerry Seinfeld, choose your, I don't know if he said, he didn't say choose your heart. Yeah, he said, I thought this was the word, but I was like, let me not say this because it might not be the word, but I like that he used this word because it's really dramatic. But he's like, there's torture in anything you choose. And I loved that word because I just like, I don't know, I like dramatic things. And it's like, yeah, I forget how he said it, man. But like, it was just, I really resonated with it because I'm like, yeah, anything like can be torturous. You think marriage is going to be amazing. It can feel torturous sometimes. Yeah. I mean, I'm not married, I'm just saying. But like, yeah.
And even like, the torture for acting is just like the audition experience.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't even imagine. Right. Like something I'll never probably experience. Well, maybe. I don't know.
I love it though. And like it's a choice. It's an active choice that you make. And then same with singing. Like, oh my gosh, I've been doing that longer than I've been doing anything else. So it's like people just say like, doesn't it feel good to just like sing? I'm like,
I mean,
no. Yeah. I mean, yes, but no.
Not like, when you're trying to.
I'm thinking about technique. I'm thinking about like I can't just do karaoke.
I couldn't even imagine. It's so funny because I feel like when I'm like singing in the car, I'm like, I sound amazing. Let me record myself, and then I record myself. I'm like, I sound horrible because when you're like trying to do it like to record yourself or something, you're like again thinking about so many things, and then I'm like, oh, forget this. I'll just sing in my car and nobody has to hear it.
I did hear that someone said, if you're like in a bad mental space or like you need to like change your mind, you need to like start humming. Because like you stop thinking about anything else because you're thinking about your voice and you're thinking about maneuvering the instrument.
I think I do that naturally. I've realized that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, ever since I've been like in a relationship, I realized like that's one of my like coping mechanisms that like where I like regulate my like nervous system. I'll just like hum a little.
That's a good one. It's a good one.
I was like shocked. I'm like, okay, body, thanks.
I've been doing this shit for 17 years. I did not even notice that I just stopped thinking about everything else. No, I'm like, that's a good thing. Can't use it as a coping mechanism because it'll just turn it into work mode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's one of those things.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That is funny. But yeah, I think like this is such a great way to like end the pod of just like, yes, what we do is hard, being an entrepreneur and a freelancer, and our lives are a little chaotic, but it's like, it's the hard we chose.
Yeah.
And we're like confident in that. And I think that's all you need to like succeed, really. Like,
yeah. And the only real like reason why it's hard is money.
Of course.
Yeah.
But money's hard. Money's hard for everyone.
Money flows.
It's like, and like you said, like if someone, like, yeah, someone's choosing the quote unquote job security and maybe office type of job, like, yes, you're bringing in money, but then you're missing out on other things, you know? So it's a very like, it's whatever you choose. And if I'm all for people who choose things that they actually want to do and they're like, this makes sense for me. And, you know, like, I think that's all that matters.
I think at the end of the day, at the end of my life, I'm gonna say that I chose myself at the end of the day, and that's honestly the biggest gift I can give myself. Literally, it's just me choosing the life that feels the best in my system. So,
because imagine living based off of what someone else thinks you should do. Ugh. I can't even like imagine. I think I did do that for a while, and that's why I felt so wrong within my spirit and just like something's not right because I'm like trying to please everyone else and I'm trying
living off balance 100% your entire life, and it's just like no, I don't. And like being on my own for a long time too, like living here in the city for 3 years, being single for 5 years, and just like all of this, I don't see a reality where I could be like devoting even like shifting my balance to incorporate something else, or even as far as someone else's aspirations. That sounds like a very selfish thing for me to say, but it's also like this is just the reality that I'm in, and like it'll come like time. That's a battle for that's future Sabrina's problem. That's not now Sabrina's problem.
Exactly. And
so
now is all you can worry about. So
exactly. So it's like I'm like I don't have to think about the needs of, I mean, like generally, like within ethics, of course, I guess, sure, but like, I don't have to like take other people's needs into my own daily consideration.
Exactly.
So just be a good person. Don't be a dick and do what's right.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane. And
get a privacy screen.
Get a privacy screen.
It's just simple. The list of things to be successful for in life.
Privacy screen.
I love it. This is great.
This is fun.
This was fun. I always just love. I love chit chatting. I love yapping.
Girl, we could yap all day too.
Oh my gosh.
I know we could.
I freaking love yapping.
We didn't even get into all the subjects that we wanted.
We
to
didn't,
as well.
and I find that happens a lot too because like you can only talk for so long.
That's true.
I'm sure people only want to watch a certain, I don't know, because there are podcasts out there that are like 2 hours long, but it's like famous people. But hey,
sure,
whatever.
Get to a certain level.
But yeah, thanks so much for traveling all the way over here.
Of course.
And I can't wait to edit the photos I took of you.
Can't wait to see them. I can't wait. And honestly, I'm happy to come, and I'm happy to just like be able to, I'm happy that you have me. Honestly,
this is great. And until next time, who knows? Maybe we'll do it again.
I'm sure
we'll definitely do a photo shoot again.
For sure.
That's like without a doubt.
For sure. I'll have to come up with a new idea.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm like, what else did I want to do? Some of the other stuff that I have, other ideas I have are very like high budget, of course. And I'm just like,
hey, maybe we can be crafty. So
we can be crafty.
Yeah. Show me some inspo. Yes. I think we can make.
I'll make another Pinterest board.
Yeah, I love your
I'm
Pinterest.
Good at that.
They're the best.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Mwah.